Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name's Lynn from BYP Network Cardiff, and we've got a great webinar for you guys today with Ezim, who is a LinkedIn talent acquisition partner, and she'll basically be talking about how to use LinkedIn effectively and build your personal brand. So great to have you here, Ezim. I'll just share a little bit about Ezim's background. So Ezim, she's an experienced talent acquisition partner. She's got over 8 years experience hiring high-performing and high-potential diverse talent for some of the best companies in the world. She's a natural people person, and she really fell into recruitment after being advised by a recruiter that this was a career path that would let her play to her natural strengths, and that proved to be true. She's a massive advocate for diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and she spearheads initiatives that helps to move the needle that little bit more. Over to you, Ezim.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for having me. I think, I've been really fortunate to be able to really leverage LinkedIn to build my professional brand and to get pretty much all of the jobs that I've had in my career so far. So I'm really hoping that from the session today, you'll be able to take away some top tips that will help you to build your professional brand and progress your career in the direction you want to as well. So with that, should we kick things off? I'm going to share my screen so that we can bring up the presentation. Okay, perfect. Okay, lovely. Okay, so I think one of the key things that I've noticed in my career, and it's probably very evident in the world, is that talent is equally distributed. There isn't any country or anywhere you will go where people don't have a talent.
However, sorry, I can't see the presentation. If you just share that one more time.
Okay.
There we are.
Okay.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, lovely. So as I was saying, talent is equally distributed. Anywhere you go in the world, there are people with talent doing various things. However, access to opportunities is not always. And I'm sure many of us will notice this as we, are applying for jobs at the moment, or we're trying to go through our network to get to that opportunity. And so it's really about helping you to access those opportunities through your brand. So a few things we're going to cover today is just an introduction to LinkedIn, a little bit about what LinkedIn is about, defining your professional brand, building your LinkedIn profile, building your professional network, learning new skills, search and applying for jobs on LinkedIn, and some top tips from the recruiters. And then we'll close with Q&A afterwards. So I hope that is okay for everybody. Just put my phone on silent. Okay, so here at LinkedIn, our vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And in order to meet that, the mission is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. And so a couple of ways that LinkedIn does that is through 3 core pillars that our members are able to access and return to LinkedIn for. So connecting you to the professional world. I think through LinkedIn, you're able to see people who are in your network, outside of your network, what they do, whether they are the right person for you to connect to. And it makes it a lot easier to also stay up to date with people who are not necessarily personal in your personal network, and therefore you don't have to blur that line too much as well. And then it's also really helpful for staying informed as well. So through professional and industry news, sharing of your own content, and engaging on the platform, you're able to stay informed with what's going on. And then getting hired, LinkedIn is first and foremost a talent platform that allows you not just to connect and stay informed, but to see what opportunities are out there in the world for you and to build your career. And then just thinking around the power of LinkedIn. So over 675 million members are on LinkedIn, and this is growing every second. More members are joining the platform and expanding that network that you're able to reach out to. 50 million companies and growing. There's plenty of companies that are, developing, that are forming and looking to hire and recruit people. So, the companies are there for you to access. And then 90,000 schools as well on the platform. Lovely. So, one of the key things with LinkedIn is that because of its uniqueness and being, first to market in this way, 9 out of 10 employers use LinkedIn during the hiring process. And so if you're not on LinkedIn, you're really cutting yourself off to the access to those employers and then being able to find you as well. So when it comes to defining your professional brand, we want to look at what makes a good brand. How can you identify your brand and show you're the right choice to your new employers? So a lot of times people think, whoa, wait, I have my own brand. And the truth is, yes, you do. Your brand is the promise that you give to those around you when it comes to the professional world. It tells people what to expect from working with you and also around you. And it shows how you are unique from other people as well. So you can shape your brand in the way that represents yourself to others. So I think one of the key things with really defining your brand is thinking about how to really use LinkedIn. So it is very different to other social media platforms. Facebook is very much around, I like traveling, and Snapchat, watch me travel, and you see the other ones there as well. But LinkedIn is really about saying, I am working for a travel company. So it's very much about your professional brand. And in that light, on LinkedIn, with a professional mindset, and you will then use your time and invest into going into a bit more detail in that. So I hope to operate a travel agency one day. So you have your summary section, which you can use to give people a bit of an insight into your aspirations. You are looking for a travel agency job. That may be the reason why you're coming onto LinkedIn, or maybe some content that you're sharing. Letting people know through your experience that you have on your profile that you've got 3 years experience leading tours, for instance, sharing what your top skills are, and also having recommendations as well. You'll be surprised how many people really look at those recommendations to try and gauge a little bit more about the person behind the profile. So it really does all start with you. It's about your story, and what the journey will look like will be what you define it to be. The audience that you create around you through the networks and connections that you're creating on LinkedIn will help you to really pull your story together. So just thinking about that, then it's really about showing that you're the right choice. So decide what you want people's first impressions to be of you, and look at your LinkedIn profile and ask yourself, does my LinkedIn profile reflect this perspective that I want people to take away? So make a strong LinkedIn profile so your professional profile shows up in Google first. Stay active on social media to build your online presence, and be careful what you post. That could harm your professional brand as well. So, I think content is king these days, but the right content is probably the best in the long run. So, So just moving on to building your LinkedIn profile. So setting up your account, your profile, and taking a good picture as well. So profiles with work experience are 10 times more likely to get messaged on LinkedIn. And that is because, as a recruiter myself, when I'm looking for people on LinkedIn, I'm looking to see whether you've got the skills and experience that I'm looking for in the role that I'm recruiting. And if I can't see that, it's not that I'm overlooking you, it's just that it's not there for me to see. So I will have to overlook you in order to look at other people who have got a bit more content on their profile that enables me to say, okay, yes, this is somebody I should definitely approach, and then I can explore a bit more about them. So your LinkedIn profile is very different to your CV because it speaks to a multitude of roles. It's really about your professional brand and who you are, as opposed to just a particular job or just a particular company that you're applying for and that being tailored to it. So it does go into more detail around skill sets and projects, interests, certificates, and more. And it also allows other professionals and employers to interact, learn, and contact you as well. And then because of the recommendations aspect, you know, this typically wouldn't be on your CV, but it is there on your LinkedIn profile. And so, you know, if you are trying to maybe pivot to a new career and you've been working on some projects within your current company, it's a really great way to get people to vouch for, you know, some of that new transferable skills that you've developed that you're trying to transfer over into something new. So you know, have a look at your profile and see in each role that you've had and what you want your professional brand to be. Does your experience that you're showcasing there really reflect that? Cool. And then taking a great photo. So members with profile photos, as we said, receive up to 21 times more views and 9 times more connection requests. And this is because it just feels a lot more personable. It feels like there is somebody behind that profile and it's not just a robot or someone hasn't just created it by accident. It's intentional. So when you think about your profile picture, it doesn't have to be straight on, you know, suited and booted if that's not the kind of industry you're trying to get into or the industry you're currently working in. Use a background that isn't distracting. Dress for the job you want. Smile and have a friendly expression. If you don't want to smile, that's fine too. And make sure your face takes up the majority of the frame. I think sometimes people will, you know, their pic themselves will be very small, or they may be in a group, and so it's like, okay, who is it that I'm looking at within this profile? And so just making sure that, you know, if you have a picture there, that it's really reflecting you in the best way. Cool. So one of the great things as well on LinkedIn is that you have your summary spotlight. And what I like to say to people is that if people don't read the rest of your CV or your LinkedIn profile, this summary aspect is almost like an elevator pitch. So it's where you can talk about what motivates you and show your personality off in a different way than, you know, you can with when you start to talk about your experience. So if you think about it as your elevator pitch, focus on your accomplishments and aspirations and keep it short. You know, 100 words is great. You know, it doesn't have to be too much, but you also want to make sure that you've got a good amount of content there for people to be able to have a bit more of an insight into who you are. Cool. And then the rest of your profile is really your story in your own words. So you'll get prompts around the location, the industry, what sort of work and internship experience have you got, education, skills, programs. So, you know, as you go through your profile, the more complete it is, the better, because recruiters and those looking to connect with you will quite often search by all of these key areas. You know, if I'm recruiting for somebody in Paris, you know, I will narrow that down by location potentially. Or if I'm looking for, you know, a graduate, I may look at their education or particular skill sets. I'll, you know, put a particular skill set into my search and see who comes up first within that. So I think it's important to make sure that you give yourself the best opportunity to be found by completing your profile there. And what's really great is we have got this new feature section. So if you do things outside of your current work, or you've got particular work that you're proud of, you can really showcase it here. And again, it just adds more to your profile. It's multimedia. It helps to connect to people who don't just want to see heavy text, and enables you to add things like videos or blogs or you know, maybe there's a post that you've shared that's particularly interesting, and so you want to pin it to your profile. So there's various things you can do in this featured section, but it just allows you to bring to life some of the things you want to highlight more when somebody comes to visit your page. Perfect. And then once you've got your profile all built, then it's about building your professional network. So we're going to look at how you build your professional network, discovering existing connections, searching for new connections, and expanding your network strategically. So 50% of plus of hires result from personal connections. And so when you think about it, when you are there on LinkedIn, you have your first degree connections. These are people that probably more personally than others, but they are connected to lots of other people who you aren't connected to, but that person may be somebody who can connect you to the right person for a role that you're looking to get into. So it's really important to connect to the people within your network as you meet them, or connect to people that are of interest to you as well, because then it allows you to start to engage with them and it opens their network up to you as well. So if you are going to connect with somebody, it goes without saying, obviously personalize your introduction, and it just, once they accept your connection, they get an automatic in-mail that will then give them the messaging that you have put in your connection request, and it just allows them to come back to you quicker, if they're able to, on any questions that you have for them, or reasons why you wanted to connect in the first place. Okay, and then discovering existing connections. If you are looking to expand your network, a really quick way to do it is by clicking on the My Network tab on LinkedIn, and then just navigating through that. So what will typically come up will be friends and family, current or former colleagues, maybe former managers. So anybody who is recognized to have connected, to maybe have worked with you or on things that you have identified in your profile. So it may come up with potential university connections you can connect with. So it will be quite varied, and then that way it will help you to start to build up your connections from there. Lovely. And then once you have connected with people, it's about really using your network on LinkedIn to connect to the right opportunity. So requesting referrals, requesting recommendations, and adding value and engaging with people on the platform. So applicants are 9 times more likely to get hired when referred. And so look at, really asking your network for referrals. I know that, as I hire, I get a lot of referrals that come into for the roles that I have from current employees or people in my network. And I really appreciate them, because people that know the role the best often know, the type of skill set that somebody else has that can really transfer to it, because they're doing the job, or, they know the company really well, or, that for various reasons. So I really appreciate referrals, and I know that a lot of recruiters do as well. So when you look to request a referral from somebody, do ask them, do make sure that you express why you're interested in that specific role, and make sure that you follow up with them also afterwards on your referral to let them know how it went. And then requesting recommendations as well. So it's a really great way just to have on your profile other people's sort of feedback on you. And the great thing about recommendations is that you request it and you approve it. So recommendations would never just come up onto your profile without you seeing it before, or without you accepting it. And so there is that little bit of filtering, in a sense, where you can obviously not have certain referrals and recommendations on there, but it's great to ask and get as many on there as possible. And then just looking at adding value and engaging with your network. So invest time in the connections that you're making, connecting with them, making sure that if they're sharing content that you are liking, you are commenting, you are sharing it to support what they are putting out. And in turn, what you find is over time, they will also do the same for you. You can also join groups on LinkedIn and exchange insights with school or program alumni. And groups is a great way to kind of really hone in on specific interests that you have and meet people with those interests as well. And also give endorsements and recommendations to others, just as you may ask for it. If people ask you, or if you want to recommend somebody on LinkedIn, ask them to send you the request, and then you can fill that in. And, as you're giving, other people will definitely, give to you as well. Lovely. And then when it comes to sort of learning new skills, one thing that we found through a survey that we did that we carried out in January this year is that the most in-demand soft skills for 2020 is actually creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. And then most in-demand hard skills is blockchain, cloud computing, analytical reasoning, artificial intelligence, UX design, and business analyst. Now, there is no expectation for everybody to go and start learning all of these particular skills, but it's good to know what we are seeing people are searching for more, or you know, is being included in some of their requirements. And then it also just really depends on what industry you're trying to go into and the role that you're trying to go into as to what skill sets you need to really develop. So, you know, once you've thought about, you know, what sort of skills and experience you need to develop for the new role, or in 2020, as we are, the new normal that we're in, it's really, you know, have a think about going on LinkedIn Learning and looking at what some of these, how you can develop your skills through the learning platform. There are some courses on there which are free, and there are some that you'll have to be a member to be able to access, but everything on that platform is curated to really support talented professionals to develop their brand even more, develop their skills even more. And with over 11,000 courses, there's definitely something for everybody on there as well. So I think in terms of just, you know, thinking around the top tips to help you get your dream job. So profile completeness is super important. LinkedIn plus resume, which you can upload onto your LinkedIn. You can also have videos or something creative, and ask for recommendations and give them out as well. Also do your research, invest in your skill development, the company, the role, to growth, and why you want that job as well. And then really leverage your network. You'll be surprised how many times people have someone in their network at a job, at a company that they're looking to go to, and they haven't reached out to find out a little bit more about the culture, or any insights on the role, or any top tips on interviewing at the company. And that just sets, you know, that doesn't give you that, you know, kind of added support that you could have, you know, had in your job search. And I think these days it's really around, you know, how can you make yourself stand out even more and showcase your skills even more? So anything like leveraging your network that can support you to do that is super important. So then we come on to finding your dream job on LinkedIn. So one of the easiest ways is to set your career interest. So if you click on the jobs tab, it will enable you to actually decide what it is you are looking for, put it into the search there, and then set up alerts. And the alerts will then send you a message, whether it's once a week or every day, with new jobs that have been added that are aligned to what you're looking for. And so when you're not looking, it's looking for you. So it's a really great way just to double up on your search and what you're doing at the moment. And then when you search for jobs and create the alerts, you know, obviously add in your keywords, job titles, experience levels. You can also filter it to date posted as well, just to make sure that it's really refined, and the jobs that come through to you are very specific to what your needs are. And then following companies as well is a great way to stay up to date with what companies are doing. Quite often companies may advise that they are, you know, going to be opening up a new office, or they're going to be opening up a number of new roles. And so knowing that news ahead of, you know, other people that maybe aren't following the company is great for you, because it means you'll be one of the first to apply, or you can then start doing your research into what connections you have at that organization to see how you can leverage your network to, you know, land your next play. On the company's page, you can also check out the life section to learn more about the company, culture, values, and professional development opportunities that they have as well. So I think one of the last bits around sort of the job search is just actively applying. You can use the easy apply button or apply on the company website, and just stay on top of your job search by using the LinkedIn mobile app as well to find and apply for new jobs everywhere, anytime. And applicants who apply to jobs when within the first 3 days of it being posted are 13 times more likely to get the job as well. And given the current climate, it's probably even more important to be seeing these jobs ASAP and obviously deciding whether it's for you and applying as soon as possible. So that brings us to the end of the session. Are there any questions?
Hey, Ezim. So I know one of the questions that one of our members had was around what's the best way to actually network with people on LinkedIn in terms of any tips or suggestions on how to actually approach people, whether it's for getting recommendations or trying to create some sort of introductory meeting.
Yeah, so I think the best way to network is, if you do find somebody that you're interested in connecting with, connect with them, give your reasons why you want to connect. And even if they don't come back to you straight away, because they have accepted your request, you can actually start to engage in some of the content that they are putting out. And so as you like and you comment and you're sharing, they will start to notice you more as well. And then if, at a later point, you then, want to email them again to say, hey, I saw this thing and, this was really interesting, share your view. And there's a bit more of a reason for them to come back to you and connect with you. Which isn't always the case when it's the first time you're connecting with me, you've got loads of questions or you've got a request, XYZ, but we haven't really connected yet. So I think about how you can connect with that person authentically before you request something of them.
Lovely. And I've got Andy with us here, so I'm just going to bring him on screen.
Lovely.
Hi, Andy, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. We can't see you though.
Oh, I think I got my covering on the camera. Just removing it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, might be seeing me now. Yeah, hi.
There you are. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because I've been on LinkedIn for a long time now, and I've turned it. You went from being quite blank. I completed the stages, so like 100%, and then started building my network through it. But over time, I realized that I needed to be more like specific about my skills. So obviously, I feel like I tried literally like added a lot of skills because I was like, oh yeah, I probably can do all these things. Because I'm a tech person. And so I'm a bit of a like, I wear different hats in a lot of the things I've done. So I just wanted to be more like specific about what I can actually bring onto the table, like the value that I add to employers, rather than things I think I can do. But I know that there's also job what's it called, entry level jobs that are often being advertised on LinkedIn, and I wanted to target those better by like adding the relevant skills, because I realize that now LinkedIn is able to even match you with things itself. So really leveraging whether it's an algorithm or whatever that does that in a way that I would actually automatically targeted those jobs without me putting too much effort. So that's why my questions really. I don't know if you can see in the private chat.
So your question is, what exactly?
Oh, I said, is it worth uploading your CV in the media section of LinkedIn? Because I used to have it, because obviously on LinkedIn you have a lot of things there, but then in your CV could be more, I don't know, 2 pages.
Yeah. You know what? Your LinkedIn it's completely up to you how you want to really reflect yourself. And so I have seen people put it on the featured section. There is also an area where you can upload your CV, which makes it easier for you when you are applying for jobs, because it will come up. And so it's just, you'll tick, yes, I want to use this CV for this application. But yeah, some people have put it on the featured section. And so I would absolutely do that if you're happy with that, or if you have a CV that links you to a website. So I know a lot of, maybe more so people in the tech space are putting their CVs on their own website. So you can also put your website onto your LinkedIn profile as well. So anything that people are clicking on your profile really is about reflecting your professional brand. So play around with it and do what's comfortable for you.
Great. And I know, Andy, you had another question, didn't you, around would you suggest sharing your own professional experience with your network by writing articles?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. Please do, because I think one of the key things is that people want to know how other people are finding, the job market. And once you're in those roles, what is your experience of it? That's how people are going to find out whether that is, a potential company they want to work for or otherwise. So yes, definitely do, whether it's through blog articles or whether it's through regular posts. That's really great.
Andy, we've lost audio. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead now.
There we are. You're back.
I didn't want the background noise to come through. Yeah, I was just saying thank you so much for this invaluable information. I felt quite, I was quite hesitant to do write-ups and things like that, because I didn't want to sound too opinionated. I wanted to keep professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've seen people that have been very authentic with their journey, and has landed them great opportunities. But I feel like in this day and age, there's a lot of like political correctness in things that we do. So I was like, okay, it'd be great to be as blatant as possible, but I also want to be mindful about the kind of opportunities I'm killing by just being too authentic. So I guess I gotta find my voice, really.
Yeah, you'll find your voice. And also I think around the political correctness, more often than not, we are the ones who are politically correcting ourselves, because we don't want to reflect our brand in a negative way, right? So I think as long as you feel confident in what you are sharing and you feel that it's a reflection of you, then there's nothing, to stop you from sharing it on the platform.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. All right. I'll think over these things then, and work on it as well.
Thanks, Andy.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you so much.
I'll remove you off screen now, but you'll still be able to watch.
Cool.
Lovely. And Kanisha, I know, Kanisha, you had a question. You've actually popped off. So if you could hop back on, I can let you back in and go ahead. In the meantime, another question that I have for you, Ezim, is what tips would you have that are quite practical in terms of, like, I suppose, the things that you're looking for, because you recruit for a lot of people. So when you're actually looking at applications, especially when they come through on LinkedIn, are there kind of any key things that you look at when you're kind of scanning through applications for people to keep in mind?
I think more often than not, everything that I'm looking for is on the job description. And so you'd be surprised when it just doesn't match at all, or there isn't that the key things, the absolute minimum requirements or the key requirements that are on the CV isn't there. That can make it difficult for recruiters to prioritize those applications, but it doesn't mean that you wouldn't look at those applications. So I think for anyone that's putting through their application, it's about being very clear on your CV and showcasing the skills that you have that are transferable to the role, and just making sure that that is brought to the top of your CV, because more often than not, You know, you wouldn't scroll through a 3-4 page CV to find exactly what you're looking for. If you haven't seen it within the first third of the CV, it's yeah, you probably wouldn't keep going, especially if you've got high volumes as well of applications. So I really encourage people to bring their relevant experience to the top of their CV as much as possible.
Brilliant. And another question I've been sent is, how often should you post on LinkedIn? And I guess what there's also a comment around, I guess, fear of posting without being an expert. So if you could share any thoughts on that.
To be honest, I'm not an expert, and I post things, I share things that I like. If someone has shared something and I'm like, oh, actually, I think my audience would really appreciate this, I'll share it. So it will come up as something that I'm putting out. Sometimes I will comment on things as well. Or if there is an article that I've read externally and I've just got a little blurb to it, I will, you know, just add that blurb at the top of the page, but direct people to read the article where the expert is really speaking on the topic. And then, you know, if there is something that is more personal or something that I feel confident in writing about, then I will write. So there isn't a requirement for you to be an expert in any field before you can start sharing your views. That's why it's your views, because it's your experience. It's what you want to add to the conversation. So yeah, but it takes time. So if you're not quite ready to put out a blog article, you know, just start to comment on things that you see or share things that you see that is relevant, that speaks to your brand and to your audience, and then you'll see your confidence definitely build up from there.
Amazing. And we've got Kanisha back. Give me 1 second and I will pop you on. Hi, Kanisha, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, guys. I was just saying that thank you so much for the session. You guys have actually managed to answer my question that I had earlier. So I don't quite have a question at the moment, but maybe I'd be keen to know. So I've just recently graduated from university and I'm looking to go in to work for like tech companies. So what I was keen to find out is, are you noticing more roles are becoming available for entry level? Obviously with COVID happening, I've noticed like the job pool market is so much bigger with more experienced people who are coming in with like 3-4 years experience for account management roles where I might have only just an internship. So just keen to see your perspective, like, is there still, are employers still keen to hire actually entry level roles, or they prefer to go with more experienced people?
Yeah, so I think one of the things with entry level roles that I've found in my experience in Noun is that when they're very intentional on who they're looking to hire in that. So if it's entry level, they are intentional in hiring entry level, you know, in professionals into that. I think one of the issues for organizations potentially at the moment is that, you know, they have less roles in certain areas. And some of those areas may be where they would have had more entry level roles before. And so that may be why you're seeing less of it. But if it's an entry level role, quite often when someone with loads of experience applies, you start to think, well, is this role going to challenge them enough? X, Y, Z. And so companies tend to look for entry level when it is an entry level role. I think at the moment there is just less on the market at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much for answering my question.
Yeah, I would add to that, Kanisha, that because I've been speaking to quite a few employers, and I think it's actually something a lot of them are looking at right now in terms of simplifying it. And there's also, I was chatting to a few like today actually in Wales, and they're looking at really restructuring it because they're very conscious of the fact that they are asking for a certain amount of experience and that there's limited roles. So I actually do think there is more roles coming, which is odd for the climate, but it does seem to me from the conversations I'm having that there are more graduate opportunities becoming available. And the best thing to do is to really network, to be honest, and connect with them on LinkedIn so that when they are posting, you're going on there and looking at it, because what a lot of them are doing is they're but also I'll be sharing more of those kind of via email. So if you ever have any questions, then just pop them through.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
No problems. Thanks, Kanisha.
Thank you.
Lovely. I've got another question from Andy. So, for a technical role at an entry level, is it important to meet all of the lengthy requirements at all times, or maybe just the mission critical skills might be just enough to get hired?
Yeah, I think with technical skills, you will need to meet a few, the very least, maybe 50% of what you're looking for. But then also there will be technical skills that you have that is maybe not on the job description. So what I would encourage you to do is whatever your technical skills experience you have, really make sure that you pull that out, because what it will say to the employer is that even if you don't have that skill set that they're looking for, that you are somebody who is still technically inclined. So you will pick up on the skills, you will learn it if you haven't got it already. And you may find that something that they haven't put on the job description but you have on your CV is something that they're really looking for. It gives you an added edge. So yeah, just make sure that you pull out as much of your technical skills, but don't let it stop you from applying for roles, because organizations will train you often in that as well.
Great. I can't see any more questions, but I've got another one, I guess, which is, what are the sort of no-nos when it comes to actually applying? What kind of things should people be avoiding? And is there anything that people should be maximizing right now, just in terms of, everything that's happening in the current climate? Just, I was just thinking about the fact that there's so many people that are putting out shout outs, for example, in terms of supporting people on LinkedIn. So I guess if there's any advice that you've got on either of those.
Yeah, so I think my biggest no-no, and it's unfortunate because we spend so much time making these really great CVs that are very creative, but sometimes when they pass through the ATS, it doesn't come out as creative as we would have liked it to. So what I would say is keep your CV as clean and simple as possible, just so that things don't get lost in translation when it goes through the different ATSs that it will need to go through. Having the colors and everything is great, but if that takes away from your skills and experience being shown, that's not great. So I think that's one of my biggest no-nos for people at the moment, just because a couple of CVs that I look at, I really have to, go through it with a fine-tooth comb to really understand what's on there. And then I also think that in terms of your second question in connecting with people on LinkedIn, I think that when you see anybody saying, they're happy to connect and they're happy to help, then, that's your opportunity to reach out to them and see how, they can help. That's why they're putting it out there to millions of people to see. So definitely, take them up on it. And it's a really great way in terms of getting a referral into the organization, or just getting some advice as well from somebody who, is obviously offering that to the market at the moment.
Great, thank you. I've got another question here. Is there a website that we can use to test our CVs against the ATS to check?
I don't know of any. If anybody does, please do, add it to the chat or share it on the BYP network afterwards. So I don't know that for now, because every ATS is different. Some of them pull through the CV in all of creative form, and sometimes it won't. So I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all, but just for you to be conscious that sometimes when it comes through, it may not come through how you've displayed it.
Okay, lovely. And there's another question around, what do I do if I don't have relevant experience? How can I application?
Yeah, so if you haven't got relevant experience, honestly, I think this is where your network comes into play. And, you can reach out to your network to put good, to help refer you into those opportunities. Alternatively, what I've been encouraging people a lot more lately is to pivot within your current company if possible. So look within your current company, there may be a team, there may be department, XYZ, network with the department, network with the team. And if there's an opportunity to join them or shadow them, do that so that you can get the skills and experience you need before you go external, because people externally won't know you enough to be able to vouch for the strength of your transferable skills if it's something that's completely different. However, within an organization, they tend to be a bit more flexible to career change and really supporting you to make that transition. So if you are finding that transition difficult, then maybe look internally first and see if you can move around before you go external.
That's really good advice. And someone also said, I've been able to get tasters and summer apprenticeship programs, but I haven't been able to stay on. Is there any advice that you'd give in terms of standing out with those kind of schemes?
To be honest, I know someone that's just recently finished theirs, and they were able to secure another opportunity. And what they said was, when I asked, how do you do it, was they networked whilst they were there. Like, they really built strong connections with people during the internship and did it intentionally as well. I think sometimes with internships, you may go into it and it's like, okay, let me just do the best I can, and then they'll appreciate the work that I've done, which absolutely is the right way to go about it, but also get to know people and let them get to know you as well. And I think that will add to your experience and why they may be able to offer you another position, because you're bringing more than just the job to the table. So just think about that for your next internship that you go into, whether you can maybe increase on your socializing skills with the people in your team and really embedding yourself into the organization as much as possible.
Great advice, thank you. And another question is, how do I, well, it's more asking you, Ezim, what kind of message would you open? And I think this is probably referring to if someone's trying to connect with you, what would make you actually do it?
I mean, I connect to just about everybody that connects with me. I think sometimes time is the thing that stops people from being able to reply back to absolutely everybody. But what I do love is to see people connecting with my content. And when you connect with my content, I'm like, oh, I wonder who this person is, and what's piqued their interest with what I'm sharing. So I feel like it's a bit more of a natural connection. It's a bit more authentic because they're finding things that we both have in common to discuss. Quite often as a recruiter, I'm getting asked about roles, and it could be like 20, 30 people emailing me to ask me about a position that they've just applied for, and they want to talk about it, and I just don't have that time every day, every week to give that. So I think you have to maybe think about being a bit more creative and standing out, not just in the emails that you send to people.
That's really good advice. And actually, it's something that I remember someone told me around circles of influence, and looking at actually, if there is someone that you want to connect with, you need to be engaging with them on a regular basis. Yeah. So you need to be liking or commenting on their content regularly, not just as a one-off. Or another way to stand out is using, clicking on a different response reaction that most people would. So instead of the like, for example, clicking on the insightful one, which is the little light bulb, which is really good. And actually, it takes me back to there was one girl who sent me a really lovely message, and I responded straight away, and she just said, "Hi, I'm really looking to build a career in marketing. Would you have 30 minutes just to be able to answer a few questions that I have specifically on that?" And I think one thing I liked about that was that it was so specific that it was like, okay, she's just got questions. She doesn't actually want anything from me. She just wants to fire a few and then I can give her the answers, and that's it. And that was really good. So I think try and be specific in the amount of time that it's going to take and what it is you're actually looking to get out of that conversation. Even if whether it's mentorship you want, just be direct with it and see if that works.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I've got one more question. How do I, as a technical person, make sure that my soft skills become as strong as my hard ones? I ask that due to the evidence increase of demand for emotional intelligence and the likes.
So how you can make sure your soft skills are as strong as your hard skills.
Yeah.
To be honest, we're not all going to be good at everything. So I think the best place to start is actually just being conscious of what soft skills you maybe aren't as good at. And seeing whether there's some learning courses, or whether through friends and people in your close network, they can support you in developing some of those soft skills. The thing with soft skills is that it tends to be a lot more innate in us. It tends to be, if you are somebody who is naturally persuasive, you can, it comes a bit more natural, whereas sometimes you have to really invest your time into learning it. So what I would say is that with the soft skills, look at what courses are available online, what books you can read that can give you some tips around developing them, but don't be too hard on yourself. You don't have to be good at everything, but at least you're conscious about it, which is good.
Amazing, thank you. And one last question from me. Is there anything that you would have done differently based on your experience as a recruiter now and being on the other side, when it comes to kind of your own personal career? Or is there anything that you've learned and been able to apply, recently or in the last couple of years that has really helped you?
Yeah, I think what has helped me the most in I'd say in more recent times is just not being ashamed to ask people for, if I'm looking for a job, why should I feel a type of way to message people in my network and say, you know what, I'm being made redundant, or I'm looking for a new job, this is what I'm looking for. If you come across it, if anyone asks you for someone looking for this type of thing, please refer them to me. I'd love to explore new opportunities at the moment. And I think for me, over the last 2 years, I've become less ashamed of doing that. And what it's resulted in is people actually referring jobs to me, even if they don't have direct connections. If they see it, they're sending it to me because they know that I'm open, or they're keeping me top of mind, and they're messaging me out of the blue and saying, hey, I've got this role at this company from this person who is looking, are you interested? And then I can follow it up at that point. So I think one of the things I've learned to do is, if I'm job searching, I maximize everything. My network, my CV online, I have it in the right places. I make sure my LinkedIn profile is always up to date. And when I got my role at LinkedIn, actually, they approached me for the role. So again, if you're not on there, then there's no way for them to find you. So yeah.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love that. Thank you so much. Is there any last piece of advice that you'd like to share, or how can people connect with you after this webinar?
Yeah, I think when it comes to your LinkedIn, everyone's LinkedIn profile is different. There is no one size fits all. So as long as you look at your profile and you feel that it reflects you, then if you feel that it doesn't, play around with it and make it as reflective of your professional brand as possible. And then yes, please connect with me. Like I said, I'm very open to connecting with people. Engagement wise, engage with my content or things that I'm putting out, and that will make you stand out a little bit more. But otherwise, also, when I can, I will come back to people who want some more one-on-one time. So if there are particular requests or questions that we haven't been able to through today, then do pop it in your connection request, and I'll try and come back to you on that as well.
Amazing. And I have to say, guys, I connected with Ezim by doing just that, sending her a message and saying, I'm looking at pivoting my career. Would you be able to give me some tips? And she was incredible and literally just helped me smash my LinkedIn profile. And we just got to chat in and wanted to share this with you guys. So it really does work. And Ezim is also on the BYP app, so you can connect with her on there, as well as LinkedIn, and just really use that. Everyone wants to help. So it's just finding the right thing for them, is what I would say. So yeah, and I guess that's a wrap, guys. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BYP Cardiff, and make sure you connect with Ezim. And if you have any follow-up questions after the webinar, just shoot me an email and I'll get them across to Ezim and we can send those out afterwards. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ezim.
Lovely. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care.